Talking about balls as always, and I'm finally not alone this first time. I'm back with my co-host. Unfortunately, how are you doing today, young man?
Uh, Decent.
Uh,
I'm
Decent.
feeling sick, but
Wow, decent. So the last every time he just says good. How about you? First off, decent, and he didn't ask how I was feeling. So you know this is gonna be a bad episode. So if you hear some screaming and you see some blood on the camera, do not get afraid. I can assure you, all is well. All is also well, and all is always sunny in Philadelphia. That it was a TV show. Um, as we get
there's
into
a
it,
pro NFL football game on in less than a month.
as we get into it here, I would like to tell you guys today is July 2nd, and
Yeah, give them that history lesson, Unc.
248 years ago, our nation declared independence from Brazil. Nope, not Brazil. Britain.
You said that earlier too, and I was like, what? When
We did not declare
they
independence.
didn't. Are you thinking about like the group stages for soccer or
No,
something?
no, I'm just not thinking. They declared independence from the United Kingdom, if you did not know. By the way, another fun fact. Do you know the most often holiday in the world?
Off, often
Yeah,
holiday.
that's celebrated the most. Like Hanukkah celebrated 8 times because 8 days.
Isn't there like, well,
Independence from the United Kingdom because
yeah,
they have
there's because they have like half of the world.
every 6 days a country celebrates their independence from the UK. So on average, so the U.S. celebrates it on July 4th.
Imagine fumbling a 13 culinary.
Imagine fumbling a whole world league over everybody. Now they got this small island that just rains all the time.
And it's like cold 3/4
But
of the year.
as we're 2 minutes into this, we have not talked about balls
Yeah.
yet. But I'm still not going to. July 2nd, the United States' Continental Congress declared independence on Great Britain. July 4th, they signed it. August 2nd, it was ratified and approved. So I don't know why we celebrate July 4th. We just do. And you know why? Because fireworks go boom, fireworks cool. Anyway,
Firework make big boom in sky and look very pretty.
and I think the people everywhere did not get the memo on fireworks. Fireworks are July 4th, not July
there were
1st,
fireworks going
not
off,
June
like,
30th,
like 2 nights
not
ago.
July, not June 29th. Okay, when I go outside at night, I don't know, are those gunshots or fireworks? I'm in a dangerous neighborhood. Okay,
We live in a suburban.
you say we. These people are gonna think we're brothers. I don't want that. Like you just.
I live.
We
a block,
live-
I live.
okay,
a,
we don't
a
need to
block,
tell them
a
everything.
block away from me.
You haven't seen the things I've seen. There were years my father didn't even make 100 grand or barely made 100 grand. And sure, we had a maid, but she only came twice a week. What do you think happened the other 5 days?
You do not know about that prime skunk that came onto my porch 2 nights ago.
Westland, Oregon. Okay, the streets of Westland, Oregon. My neighbors were twins. They got a Mercedes for their birthday, but only one they had to share.
Okay, you're making it seem like we live in like the richest neighborhood
No,
in PA.
that's Chael Sonnen, the baddest guy in the world. That's the UFC guy that says, "Oh, the tap means I only lost a round."
Oh,
He's a great guy. Let's talk about balls and not talk about anything else. Speaking of balls, the free agency market in the balls world. Listen, NBA free agency's washed. Paul George. First off, two first names. Okay, I don't know why I had to say that. It just came to my mind. Listen, why do you have a fetish with signing at 3:30 in the morning? I just saw a video. He signed to the Clippers from the Pacers at 3:47 in the morning a couple years ago. Now he signed from the Clippers to the Sixers after at 3:30 in the morning. Why, Paulie? Why, Paulie George? First off, you got to make Daryl Morey and the Sixers stay up late to get that signing, and you got to sign at 3:30 in the morning. Listen, I remember back in my day, the clock would strike whatever in NBA free agency, and boom, there'd be 10 signings. The biggest signing, free agency, happened at 6. I open up Twitter, Luke Cornett back to the Celtics. That's what we're doing? That is the best you can do, NBA. The free agency period was dry. Of course, Paul George signing, but it ruins the hype when he signs in the wee hours of the night. Okay? I only know a couple people up at that night, and the guy that is up at that night, at that time of night, doesn't wake up till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, yeah, Paul George, shame on you. Just kidding. Let's get into NBA free agency. Of course, the big one was Paul George. to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers say, we have all of our chips in the basket. Let's buy $1,000 worth of chips again. Or, in this case, let's buy $218 million of more chips. So, with Philadelphia, they make it clear. They're going to win. They got to win now. And it is pretty clear that they want to put all their eggs into the first 2 years of this contract. Because Paul George, is he worth $50 million now? Maybe. Will he be worth $50 million next year? Maybe. Will he be worth $50 million in 2028?
No.
When he's 38 years old? Definitely not. We have our perceptions changed because we live where Tom Brady played till he's 43. LeBron's going to play till he's 40-something. That's not normal. Okay? That is not normal. Not everybody can be LeBron and Brady. The real regression starts at like 33. That's when your career is basically over from everybody else. Paul George is a great player, but he's no LeBron or Brady. So, as I waffled on about 6 minutes about the U.S. and Brazil and Britain and Independence Days and Paul George having 2 first names, Wayne, your thoughts and your initial reaction to Paulie George joining the city of brotherly love?
Really good signing for the Sixers. Definitely help them out a lot.
Wrong.
But are they even going to make the finals this year?
That's what you have to see.
I don't think so. I feel like, granted, like, you have all this star power, but, like, the Suns, you had Devin Booker, you had Kevin Durant, you had Bradley Beal, and you lost in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't think that's the same.
No, not at all.
Because
but it's just an example of, like, having good players doesn't always correlate to playoff success.
We've seen it in the past, and winning championships, it's homegrown talent that wins titles. The Nuggets, the Celtics for the most part, Tatum and Brown.
The chemistry.
The Warriors, homegrown and whatnot. The Sixers are still a homegrown team. They still have Embiid. They drafted Maxey. You got to make moves, okay? And there's 2 different sides to this that I can attack it on. And I made a TikTok video on it yesterday, and somebody made up a good point. I didn't like the move because I think the NBA right now in the East is too stacked with the Celtics and the Knicks, who I think are better than the Sixers right now.
Yep.
You are putting all your chips into 2 years of a basket, right? A 2-year basket. And if it doesn't work out, if you don't win the finals, it's not like, hey, we made it to the finals. No, it's winning the finals in the next 2 years or 3 years or nothing. And if you don't do that, you set yourself up for cap hell when Paul George is 38. And you look at Tobias Harris, they had to get off of his contract. How bad was that contract? They didn't expect it to be that bad when they signed him. 4 years down the line, it was that bad. Not saying the same thing can happen, but regression is bound to happen with Paul George. Injury history with him and Embiid and Paul George. That's scary if you're Philadelphia. And if you don't win in the next 2 years, there's no future. Embiid's already coming up on 30. He'll be 34 if you don't win. Paul George is making all that money. It's over. Okay, so I could say that and say, okay, you make this win now move, but your roster's not good enough to win now. Embiid, Maxey, fine. But I have questions still with Joel Embiid in the playoffs. He has not been able to show ever that he can be a comparable playoff performer. The other side of it, and this was a good point brought up by somebody commenting on one of my videos, why even compete then? Why even try to go out and win? That's a great point. That is a great point. If you're not willing to make sacrifices that are going to hurt you down the road for benefits now, what are you even trying to do? Hey, maybe it doesn't work out, okay? Maybe it's like a Brooklyn Nets situation or a Phoenix Suns situation or all these situations we've seen in the past where they salvage the future for the now. Or maybe in the NFL, it's like the Los Angeles Rams. They win the Super Bowl. They did all the stuff, and they competed, they took the risk, and it worked. So that's both sides you can attack it on. I'm actually leaning more towards go out and compete. I mean, this is what you have to do, is go out and try to win games and try to contend for a championship, and they further it more with Paul George. This is now the best big three in the NBA. I also like that Paul George is not going to take away from Embiid, take away from Maxey. Paul George doesn't need the ball in his hands too much. He's more of a catch-and-shoot guy in the mid-range and the three than a ball handler guy.
I looked up the Heisman favorites, and ESPN has J.J. McCarthy as a Heisman favorite.
What? I would agree. So
Okay.
that's both ways you can look at it. I still think Philadelphia is, wouldn't say a far ways behind, but they got to complete the rest of the roster. I mean, they have nobody on contract besides Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George. They got to fill out the rest of the roster, and it will be interesting to see. They lost Nicholas Batum. They got Andre Drummond, which, oh my goodness, Andre Drummond's going to drop 30 points in a playoff game for you guys. They got Eric Gordon, which, again, Eric Gordon, great player. But if they can't fill out this roster, I would still be pretty confident saying the Celtics are better. I'd say the Knicks are better. The Nuggets are better. And I'd probably slot Philly in that 4 or 5 seed. Don't discount Milwaukee, right? I know Milwaukee lost in the first round. They didn't have any Giannis. If Giannis
they
and
were injured.
if Giannis and Dame are back and healthy, I mean the Bucks were the biggest contender to the Celtics this year. So there's just so many moving parts. If you had to give this one a grade on the old Paul George trade or signing, a grade,
I would say about a B plus.
I'd give it an A- just because I would. If it was a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal, it'd be an A+. But
It's a
four
five- oh,
four
yeah.
year 4 years is a lot of money, or a lot of years. 4 years is not money. It's a lot of years. You're
You
gonna be.
that thing down that you were talking about with the Sixers, with the team that,
We just
that I was
talked
talking
about
about. All right.
So yeah, it's a 4-year deal. It's something. So Sixers change the most out of any team in free agency. They get the prize fish of Paul George. Where do they rank amongst the teams? Okay, I'm going to list off a team, and are they better, worse, or the
About
same
the
with
same.
Philly? Actually, we're going to discount the same because no team's the same. That's the stupidest thing. Okay, let's start off. How we're going to do this is it's going to kind of be like a gauntlet where you got to go up. So the bottom's not going to be great. We're going to go up to the mountaintop. Let's start off Cleveland Cavaliers. Or the Sixers better?
Yes.
I would say so as well, but I don't think it is. Oh, yes, 100%. I mean, 4 Sixers.
Oh no.
It depends on Donovan Mitchell. He might move. He might leave, which will be interested to see over the next
He
coming.
just got there like 2 years ago, too, didn't he?
Yeah.
3 years ago. Like
Yeah. Okay, how
this
about
guy saw Darius Garland as his point guard, and he said, "Get me out of here."
how about Orlando Magic?
Yeah, they're better.
They are, but I don't think it's that much. I mean,
I want to see the Magic are going to be.
the
pretty good
Magic
in
are a
these next couple
young
years.
team. The only thing they don't have is shooting. They get Contavious Caldwell Pope, which they gave him $20 million.
Which is a 2-year deal, isn't it?
3 years,
Oh,
$66
yeah.
million for the kid. So yeah, they're better than the Magic. How about the Thunder? Are they better than the Oklahoma City Thunder? I say no.
I think if it comes into a playoff game, which yes, are we ranking this off of a 7-game playoff series?
We're ranking this off of who's better.
Okay. Well, I'll take the Sixers slightly, just because of.
I'll take the
experience.
Thunder. I'll take the Thunder. Sixers because of experience. I mean, experience of what? Choking?
I mean,
Of Embiid choking? I mean, he's got more experience at
our
choking
friends
big
who are
games.
Sixers fans choke a lot of. No, kidding.
I would go with the Thunder just because, and next year, we're basing this off of next year, Chet's going to take the jump. Shea's going to take maybe a jump. I don't know. I don't like the guy.
I don't think Shea can get much better. I mean, the guy averaged like.
Jalen
30
Williams
points
is going
a
to
game.
take a jump. Jalen Williams is going to take a jump. Those other
I
pieces.
wish they drafted the third Jalen Williams
those
out
other
of Auburn.
those other pieces are going to take a jump, and I think Chet's going to come into a top 25 player. And I think the Thunder, who already were the number 1 seed last
Chet's
year,
going to be your defensive player of the year next year.
Nope.
Over Wemby.
nope. So yeah, I think the Thunder are better. How about the Timberwolves?
No, I'm taking the Timberwolves.
Really?
Yeah,
Over the Sixers?
I'm taking the Timberwolves.
Man, it's the Timberwolves. It's such a stain losing to 5 and the Mavs and just getting obliterated in that series. I mean, the series wasn't even close at all. And to lose the way that they did, I would say the Sixers are not better. And then the Timberwolves. I'll go with the Timberwolves just because the Sixers lost a lot of depth pieces. They're going to have to probably fill out the roster with not many players.
Some G League players.
So yeah, I'd go the Timberwolves.
Jared McCain is the best shooting guard in the league.
No, they did get that guy. Yeah.
Doing his TikTok. I saw on TikTok all it's been is Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey fouled out. Go get Jared McCain. Jared McCain in the locker. Like doing the TikTok dance.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks.
Clay, a Dallas
Are
Maverick.
they better than the Sixers?
Yeah.
Mavs are better?
Yeah. I mean, the Mavs made it to the finals last year.
They did. I'm going to say the Mavs are better.
They were already a pretty good team, and now you're adding on a really good shooting guard.
If they play how they played in the Western Conference playoffs, they're much better.
Is Clay gonna play shooting guard, or is Luka gonna play shooting
Listen,
guard?
this is a question in 2010. There's no positions. Why would Luka play shooting guard, too? He's a point guard. I don't know why he plays shooting
But Kyrie's
guard.
playing point guard.
No, he doesn't. Have you ever watched the Mavs play? Luka
know.
brings the ball up every freaking
I
time.
know.
The ball's in Luka's hands every time. If it's not him, it's Jaden Hardy. Oh, get that guy off the team. If the Dallas Mavericks play like they did against the Timberwolves and the Thunder and the Clippers, they're fine. But this is
all this. You can make it to the finals with the Mavericks with Clay, Luka, and Kyrie. But if Luka doesn't play defense, it doesn't really matter.
But here's the thing: Klay Thompson.
And turnovers.
Klay Thompson. I understand. 0 for 10. 4 rings. I understand all that. But he's going to have so many open looks that he's never had in his career. Because when Luka can drive, when Kyrie can drive to the lane, they can kick it out. Klay's going to have a lot of open looks. And I think the Mavs are better than the Sixers.
Yeah, my one friend I was talking to, I sent him the video of like Clay getting, I don't know, it was like a picture or something. And he says, yeah, I feel like Clay will be a lot better with the Mavs because of open looks. And I was like, okay. Great minds might think alike.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I think everybody can see that. It's not like he's discovering the Rosetta Stone. But
I am.
how about the Knicks? Are they better than the Knicks? They're not. They're not better than the Knicks. It's wild.
Julius, no, they.
Jalen Brunson's better than Joel Embiid. I don't care. Mikal Bridges is fine.
Yeah, they got Mikal Bridges
Dante
too.
DiVincenzo. Julius Randle. Josh Hart.
OG
Anunoby.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The Sixers, do they have more talent? Yes. The Knicks play as a team. The Knicks hustle.
They got the Villanova boys, so...
I know I sound like an old 6-year-old basketball rec league coach, but they hustle, they out-rebound, they play hard, and this recipe's worked. And the chemistry is at an all-time high.
Yeah. I think I would take the Knicks over the Mavs. I was thinking about taking
Knicks
the
over
Mavs,
Mavs,
early.
huh?
Yeah, I definitely
You go with
take
the Knicks? And finally,
Because I was thinking about it with the
not
Mavs,
finally.
but
are they better than the Nuggets? No, they're not. You know why? Because 15 owns 21. Although that was outlawed in 1865, the Joker wants to kind of reinstate it, and the way he's been able to play, he kind of can reinstate it. Not head-to-head, though, because Embiid owns Jokic, but who cares about head-to-head?
we're talking about the Mavs, not the Sixers anymore.
Let's get into our final one. The Sixers or the Celtics? What do you mean, ooh? What do you mean, ooh? There's no ooh.
I mean, I think I'm taking the
Celtics in
Sixers.
5. Celtics in 5. I don't care. Okay, they have Tatum, Brown, Holiday. I mean, I don't need to tell you. You just watch them cruise through the finals.
Watch them win a
A
national
title.
championship.
That's not even a debate. So I would say the Sixers are about the 5th or 6th best team in the NBA right now. Here's the thing: it doesn't move
The
the needle.
Mavs are the 4th best team in the league right now.
There wasn't too much of a gap.
I think
There
I'm
was-
taking the Sixers over the Celtics.
There was too much of a
what
gap.
Colby and Adam would say.
There was too much of a gap between the Sixers and the other teams that they haven't really made it up.
Yeah.
I think you could say the Sixers before this were the 7th best team, and now they go to the 5th best team.
They went
Whoa!
ceiling. They're like the 4th best team, and they're like right there at 5th.
All right.
So you take the Nuggets, the Celtics.
Nuggets, Celtics, Timberwolves. I
And
take
Knicks.
the Thunder. I take the Knicks.
So they're
That's 6. And I might even take the Bucks. I mean, it might be 7. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But what we do
We'll have
know.
to see in like April of next year
we-
when the NBA season is actually towards playoff time.
What we
yeah,
will
something
know
like that.
is the Sixers will get a top 2 seed in the East. They will be hyped up until either Miami or the Knicks or the Bucks come in and
Until
they lose
like the second
in
round
the second
of the
round.
playoffs.
They're not
and
making
then-
the conference finals this next year. I can guarantee you that. All right, our final talk
You
of
might
the
have to do
NBA.
another $50 bet with.
I might have to.
You might have to do $100.
I might.
You might
Put,
have to do 50 with Colby and Adam.
I might put $100 million.
I'm putting my house on this.
Potentially the final time we talk about the NBA in a couple of months, because
And
this
we have
is
like 3 things listed.
this is a football show at heart. At the core, we talk about football. So let's get into, first off, before we get into our last NBA segment for a while, where are we going to go? In direction of podcasts leading up until September, when things will go smoothly.
We have two until college football 25 drops.
College football 25 comes out on a Tuesday. I can make it. I can spare an hour without it.
I mean, we can just do it on Wednesday. I don't really care.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I think I'd rather just come up to your house and watch you play college football, just because I don't have a next gen console. So
we'll cross the bridge when it gets there. But yeah, college football 25 is coming out in 14 days. I can't believe you got to have a better name than college football 25. Like, that is such a mouthful. Do you want to play EA college football 25? That's just like, you want to play basketball 2K24? Let's play basketball 2K24. Hopefully they'll find a name with it. Here's the problem, though.
I don't think the name matters if the game is actually decent.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but here's the problem with making a name of it.
No, but do you want to play EA college football 25?
They have to make it a old guy that everybody likes. Like, they cannot make it Saban 25.
That just sounds hard.
It does, but, like, do you think any Auburn fan's going to buy it? Do you think any anybody in the SEC is like, I ain't buying Nick Saban on the cover? They need an old dead guy that everybody just
They probably just need to do, like, the founder of college football. Or, like...
Rutgers 25. First ever college football game. Rutgers 25.
I mean, like, a guy who, like, originated college football. But...
If you ever go to... I've never been to Rutgers campus, but I've seen it.
I saw it. I almost went to the Penn State at Rutgers game. Why? I don't
Rutgers
know.
in New Jersey?
Like 3 years ago, I
remember that. But Rutgers is the birthplace of college football, and they let you know. If you ever see a Rutgers game or anything, you go
You
to
do not know about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights?
If you go to their campus, they have about 150 stunts. It's the birthplace of college football. Like, we get it. You've sucked the last 110 years, but you were the birthplace of it. Anyway, here's the direction of the podcast.
What the hell?
Now, which is July 2nd, July 9th, we'll talk more about the college football game a little bit more and try to break into NFL stuff. July 16th or 17th, depending on it, we'll give our full reaction to the college game, full reaction to what they need to do better, good features, bad features, blah, blah, blah. That'll take us to July 23rd, which will then be more NFL. That'll start our NFL. July 23rd, we'll get into all the predictions you can have. July 30th, we'll get into more predictions. And then August 6th, we'll talk about the Hall of Fame game, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll have preseason to talk about, more predictions, get every prediction, get every game,
do like
MVP, offensive player.
Early award finalists.
Every record, every division, breakout, like every player and everything will be covered. And then when we get to September, I mean, the material makes itself. So
we literally just do the game reviews.
Yeah. So that
talk about the games, and
that is the agenda. So let's get back into the NBA.
I can't wait for Aaron Rodgers' Achilles to do the other funniest thing.
I cannot wait.
My Jets, baby.
Our final prediction or final talk of the NBA, maybe.
They're not my Jets.
Knowing this, a huge trade's going to happen right when we leave this. We'll have to talk about it next week. But Klay Thompson goes to the Dallas Mavs. And here was the thought. The Warriors are going to let him go. Or no, there's a sign and trade. They got 2 second round
they were
picks.
going to let him go, and then like...
I always love when there's a sign and trade. They have to make a third team to make the money work or whatever.
Yeah, the Hornets are just in it, I'm pretty sure.
The Hornets got Josh Green for nothing.
Yeah.
They just like... So 2 teams are making a trade. It doesn't work out, blah, blah, blah. They got to get a third team in it. And they bring in Josh. The Hornets like, yeah, we'll take Josh Green. What do you want from it? Nothing.
We just want our salary cap to get fixed.
You could just have him. Like, okay, we might win 17 games now instead of 14. But I always like that when a third team comes in. And it's like when 2 guys are just talking and they're like,
then there's like
who wants that last slice of pizza? Blah, blah, blah. The guy's like, I'll have it. He's like, hey, I guess. So Klay goes to the Mavs, and when the Warriors let him go or traded him, They didn't want to bring him back. I thought, oh, Clay's out of his mind. He wants $35 million. I mean, blah 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 blah. $50 million of 3 years. That is $17 million a year. That is not a lot of money. Clay's still fine. Clay can sit in the corner for 30 minutes a game, shoot 8 threes, make 3 of them, and walk out of the building.
Yeah, Clay can get. Oh, excuse me, Clay can get you 15 points every
Yeah.
game. I mean, like.
And this is an interesting for the Warriors now. They either have to make a big move or blow it up, and it just doesn't see a world where Steph's not on the Warriors. And I think we're still so far away from
Stephen
Steph.
Curry to the LA Lakers. Confirmed.
I'm sure, yeah. Steph's not going to get traded, but what are they going to do?
It's literally him, Draymond, and like Kevin Looney.
Yeah, they have.
Like,
This is not a
Andrew
good
Wiggins
enough.
still on
Andrew,
it?
Andrew
Andrew
Wiggins. But this is. I don't think Draymond's spot is safe.
Ooh, the cum bucket is still on that team.
Oh,
Jonathan
wow.
Kaminga.
Never say those words again.
The cum bucket.
There was a report coming out, and I'm shocked the Clippers didn't accept it, that there was going to be a sign and trade for Paul George, and maybe he didn't want to join the Warriors. The Warriors were offering Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Chris Paul, and a first, and the Warriors said no, or the Clippers said no, and I mean it worked out for them because what they get for Paul George, absolutely nothing. So that was interesting. If Paul George went to the Warriors, they'd still contend. But let's not act like this team was good in Golden State. Did they make the playoffs last year? No! And they just lost Clay. They're in a bad spot because anytime you have Steph Curry on your team, you're going to be good enough to not be a bad lottery team. But at the same time, you don't want to waste Steph Curry.
Only Steph Curry, where you're not going to get that far into even into the playoffs.
You don't want to waste Steph Curry. And the Western Conference is so stacked, I don't know any moves that Golden State could make. Like, maybe they could try to trade for Donovan Mitchell or somebody huge that would gut the rest of the roster. I don't know. They don't have enough young pieces. Jonathan Kuminga is fine, but is he really the biggest piece to getting Donovan Mitchell, to getting a different player? Like, are the Cavs really like, we trade Donovan Mitchell for Kuminga, we get Wiggins, we get a couple picks. Like, nobody's saying, ooh, yeah, let me get that. So they are stuck. The West is incredible. The West has gotten better.
The West is like
the West
best.
always gets better. You even have teams below
the West
that.
is like the AFC of football.
Yeah.
Like and then like the NFC and the East is just kind of like there.
Even teams below them in the West that were below them, right? The Rockets are young and getting better. They're going to be good. The Spurs aren't going to be bad for a long time. I mean, Chris Paul's going to average 50 assists. Chris Paul's going to have 50 assists throwing it up to Wembanyama.
Weren't the Bulls trying to trade Zach LaVine to the Warriors for Chris Paul and stuff? Like I heard about it and then like it got shot down immediately and now it's like coming out that the Warriors didn't accept the trade.
So there's moves that the Warriors could make, and I don't think they're done.
You can continue trading for Zach LaVine,
but they're so stuck. There's not one move realistically. Of course, if they trade for Giannis, but they're not gonna. They're
literally gonna give up their entire future at that point to get Giannis.
Even if that, I mean, you think they're gonna. Everybody but Curry, I don't think the Bucks would accept. Steve Kerr, you're a Buck. Again, not again, but. So
Steve Kerr back to the Chicago Bulls.
There's not one move the Warriors can make where I'm like, wow, that team's a contender now.
Wow, now they can make the playoffs.
And they're not in the spot right now. I don't think it's kind of like.
I think at this point they just need to get pretty good role players.
It's not enough though.
I know it's not, but like, what else are you gonna do to make your team better, and while keeping Steph?
It's kind of like an old guy with a hairline. This is a wild analogy. Old guy with a hairline.
No, I know exactly where you're going with this. You either go bald or you gotta get the hairline transplant.
He's reminiscent of his glory days in the full head of hair, and it's just not there. He's trying to make it something it's not, and sometimes you just got to let it go. Sometimes you just got to let it go, and it'll hurt for a little bit, but you'll make the decision in the long run. That's what the Warriors are like right now. They got to let this thing go, okay? And Curry has done so. I mean, Curry is the embodiment of a.
Make sense. How are you only that height?
Curry has the embodiment of a loyal player, but I don't see a world where Curry's not in the Warriors. I don't see a world where the Warriors are contending. So, interesting for that. But the Dallas Mavs, I'm so glad the Mavs have made a move. And a couple years ago, I was saying the Mavs are too content, and they didn't want to optimize Lucas Prime. Now they are. They shipped Tim Hardaway Jr. out, which is amazing. Thank God. Have fun with him, Detroit. If you thought anybody else was on the bat on the Pistons, Tim Hardaway's bad. Bad, bad, bad. They get Klay Thompson, who it's different when there's a guy old and regressing. You can shoot the ball in the corner whether you're 15 years old or 50 years old. It's not like he's athletic as hell. The defense is subsidized, and he's not a good defender. But he can still shoot the ball in the corner. And I think this is going to make Luka's life a lot easier, that they really can't send doubles on him anymore because Klay's going to be open. And we're just hoping for a little bit of Klay Thompson. Not like prime Klay, but just hoping for some Klay Thompson. All right.
As long as Klay doesn't go over 10, you're good.
So I think are the Mavs the best team in the West?
Who else would there be? There'd be the Nuggets.
I would say they're
Timberwolves.
second behind the Nuggets. Maybe the Thunder, just because the jump the Thunder are going to make is pretty insane.
I think right now they're at second until you see how the Thunder actually play. So,
also, we'll talk about actually our actual final NBA segment. Chris Paul to the Spurs. I just want to say, it's so rare that we see a player set up for so much success as Wembanyama.
I mean,
Chris
the guy
Paul,
was already 7'4" and was freakishly athletic, and then you're already going to give him a good player in his second year of the NBA.
Chris Paul, okay, is maybe the smartest player to ever play basketball.
I think he is. I think he's
just like, in terms of
very high
IQ on the court. So pair that up with Greg Popovich, maybe the smartest coach to ever coach. San Antonio.
Well, okay. Not against the finals of the Heat, but like
yes, against the finals against the Heat, 2014. He's got a winning record against the Heat in the finals.
Let's take out Tim Duncan.
He's got a winning record against the Heat in the finals. He would be undefeated against the Heat in the finals.
It's the joke.
If Ray Allen didn't hit the shot.
That he took out Tim Duncan in the last 5 seconds of the game, and then they get a rebound.
A perfectly fine clock is broken once a day. No, it's not, but it's maybe.
You're yapping.
So Pop is such a great coach. Chris Paul is such a great IQ guy. I just thought of this in my head. I mean, maybe this is an audition for Chris Paul to become the coach of the Spurs as Popovich hands the keys over to him, and maybe. But Chris Paul, if you ask one guy, okay, who is the most experienced at throwing lobs in their career? It's Chris Paul.
That guy threw
Blake
lobs
Griffin and
to Blake
DeAndre
Griffin.
Griffin. Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan.
You say DeAndre Griffin? There's no.
They're literally called Lob City back in the day. Okay,
You do not know how good prime LA Clippers were.
That pick and roll with Chris Paul when he can get to the mid range and shoot, or just toss it up to Wemby. I mean, there's so many clips after every Spurs game where they don't pass it to him and he just fakes laying the ball and it shows, that was what would have happened. He was so good last year, 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game as a rookie. That he's 20 years old. He's in San Antonio, the opposite of dysfunctional. We've seen so many times rookies set up in bad organizations, dysfunctional. Look at LaMelo Ball in the Hornets. MJ leaves. The Hornets are dysfunctional. Nobody can do anything there. Coaches every single year.
MJ might have been the worst owner in NBA history.
Maybe, probably. But
don't worry, there's a big Jordan logo outside of the stadium.
Yes, there is. So that's pretty good. How many playoff appearances? Not many, but MJ. So it's the opposite of dysfunctional. The Spurs have been so solid ever. Of course, not in the last couple of years, but they keep the same. They have the same coach. They have the same philosophy. Getting Wemby on the team, he's set up for so much success. He's got the right mindset, and Chris Paul is the most optimal way to go. Do the Spurs make the playoffs next year?
I think they make a play-in game, and that's probably all they have. With what they have right now. That's not saying they add somebody else or make a trade for another decent player in the upcoming
If the Spurs can get another wing guy that can be an average enough player, if the Spurs get DeMar DeRozan, he can go back to San Antonio, they're in a spot where they can almost contend for a championship just because I think Wemby is that high of a level. And I don't know if this is true or not. We see all these teams in the West making all these moves. Maybe it's not they're contending with other teams. They're scared of that 7'4" Frenchman in a couple of years. Where it's kind of like LeBron in the East, where
I would be.
You ever see
LeBron left and went to the Heat?
You ever see Kevin Garnett screaming about Wembanyama? He's like, "We got the 7'4" Frenchman, looks like an alien, dropping 20 points a game." He's like screaming into the thing. He's like, "I'm scared for these big men." He's going nuts about something. Anyway, Rip the
Kevin
NBA.
Garnett's reminiscing the 72-10 Bulls and the 73-9 Warriors.
You ever see him? He's a dumb guy.
Oh,
Kind of
hell
like.
no, trash.
Kind of like. Name an NFL equivalent for an NBA player. He can't say equivalent. Name an NFL equivalent.
That's like when they made Jamal Charles select the pick for the Chiefs, and like they knew he has a speech impediment, but they're like, yeah,
Kansas
go.
City. It's like
It's like
Howard
it's like-
Stern
no,
with
it's like-
Beetlejuice.
It's like Brandon trying to talk.
It's like Howard Stern and Beetlejuice, where he just brings the dumb guy in. So, rep to the NBA.
Okay, we're done with the NBA. Let's talk about college now.
It is finally football season. It's not football season, but we can pretend it is. The SEC. It means more.
Is a job well done.
Does it? I don't know, but that's what they say.
Yes.
We back with the straight talk while it's weird. See, I never know where it's gonna go. Okay,
So,
here we go. Kinda like name an NFL equivalent for each NBA.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
All right. So,
What was the name an NBA equivalent
name an NFL equivalent.
to an NFL player?
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
let's get-
name an NFL equivalent to the NBA.
So let's get into the SEC predictions. We're going to go 16-1. The SEC is so deep. I mean, it's the deepest conference of all time. Of all time, ever. I'm looking at... I would say there's only 2 teams that can win the Natty, but 7, 8 teams that can make the playoff.
Yeah.
Maybe 9. Let's get into it. Number 16, we're talking up the SEC. We're not talking up the Vanderbilt Commodores. They suck. They've sucked for the last 10 years. They're going to suck in 10 years. I understand Jay Cutler went there.
See how real SEC football's
I understand how Jay Cutler went there, but I don't care about Jay Cutler. Vandy at 16.
I also have the Vanderbilt. What are they?
Commodores.
Commodores at 16.
Yes. Vanderbilt is so bad. I made a TikTok video predicting the SEC last night. It's so easy on Google. You look up team football and you get highlights and you record it. Vanderbilt is so bad at football. You look
don't have a highlight?
You look up Vanderbilt football highlights. They show you baseball highlights because they're good at baseball.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they have a really good baseball team. But then,
So even when you
nothing
look up
else.
Vanderbilt football, they still show you baseball highlights. So that's how bad Vanderbilt is. I don't know one thing about Vanderbilt. I know they're the Commodores.
I know they have a black star with a V in it for Vanderbilt.
Maybe they do show some Vanderbilt football now. But
Tennessee versus Vanderbilt, Georgia.
all right, so let's move on to number 15. I would say Vanderbilt is the only bad team, like not top half team. These other teams are top half.
15
Number
same.
15 is the Arkansas Razorbacks. They had that one good year once. They did. But besides from that, there ain't much in Arkansas. They have been a team that is just looking to get back. They ain't there.
They do not have good recruiting, I can tell you that.
Arkansas 15.
I also have the Arkansas Razorbacks.
The Razorbacks, the Hogs,
15.
Woo Pig. Arkansas is one of those teams where when they're good, college football is good. I want to see Arkansas back in. They have a good fan base. Not a good football team. So
Woo Pig.
Woo Pig. That's a top 3 saying in college football.
What are the other 3?
Woo
What are the other
Pig,
2?
War Eagle, and Boomer Sooner. Hottie Toddy at Ole Miss. Yeah, Arkansas 15. Number 14, Mississippi State. They're in a bad spot. I mean, they're in a bad spot. They were bad last year. They're going to be bad this year ever since Mike Leach left. There ain't much there in the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I also have Mississippi State at my 14.
I knew I saw a shadow in my window last night when I was making this. I knew I saw a shadow.
Literally, both of your TikToks popped up. I went on my friends real quick because you had like 50 videos posted and I didn't check a single one. So I was like, I want these notifications off. So I went to the friends. First 2 things that pop up are the SEC rankings. And I said, yeah, I think I'll be able to do the podcast last night. And I see the SEC rankings and I'm like, do I copy them? And I was like, no, I'll just do it by myself.
Yeah, you're getting.
And I literally did it 30 minutes ago before we started the podcast.
Number 13. Another team that I just want to see be good. The Florida Gators. Maybe they'll be good with Graham Mertz coming back. I think it's funny. Graham Mertz was the laughingstock of college football. He absolutely sucked at Nebraska. Right? That's where he went. Nebraska. Graham Mertz. He sucked. Yes, Nebraska. Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin or Nebraska? I think it was Wisconsin. Yes, it was Wisconsin, a blue team. He absolutely sucked at Wisconsin. He was so bad. He came to Florida, and he wasn't too bad down the stretch for Florida. Eugene Wilson, their receiver, is pretty damn good. I think Florida will have a good enough year. Here's the problem with Florida. Here's the big old problem.
They play the. They have the toughest schedule.
They have maybe the toughest schedule ever.
No, they have the toughest schedule.
Okay, so non-conference games, you play Miami, who's a good enough non-conference team. You get your cupcakes out the way with Samford, and then you play. How about this stretch? Texas A&M, good team. Mississippi State, okay. UCF, okay. But then Tennessee, good team. Kentucky, good enough.
All right.
Georgia, top 2 team in the nation. Texas, maybe top 2 team in the nation. LSU, top 15 team in the nation. Ole Miss, top 10 team in the nation. And Florida State made the college football playoff last year. So that's stretch. I could see a world where Florida's like 5-1, and they finish 5-7.
Yeah.
I think they could be one of those teams that fall off. Another team, like I said, great atmosphere. The Swamp is a great place. A cool team. Florida's a cool team. A lot of aura to them, as the kids would say nowadays. They have come in at number 13.
I have Kentucky at my number 13.
It's not bad. And I'm going to have Kentucky at my number 12. So kind of swap them around. They lose Ray Davis, who is their best player. You know, Florida at 12? Wow, he's big on the Gators this year. Or he
Well, I just prefer
I
prefer them over these other three teams. So that's literally what I was going on.
So I have Kentucky at 12. Another team that props to Kentucky. I mean, they've kind of cemented themselves as a good enough team. They had that year with Benny Snell and company where they were almost in the playoff. But they were a couple years ago, some may forget, they were around the Vanderbilt area. They were a bad team. They were just looking forward to basketball. It's kind of switched now. I wouldn't say it's switched. They're still a basketball school.
1,000% still a basketball school.
But I don't know about anymore.
I mean, Jack, I don't know. I don't even remember his name. The Oakland guy.
Jack Golke.
Yeah, shot. I'm not going to be a NBA player, and then gets, I think he's on a practice, or a G League.
If Miami Heat can get their hands on him, they love their white shooters.
Duncan Robinson.
Tyler Hero. The other guy.
My number 12 is Auburn.
Auburn and the Tigers. Okay. I have Auburn as 11, and I think that's a little high. Like so many teams. I don't know why. I've said this a million times. College football is better when Auburn's good. Main reason that is because the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl is such an amazing game, and to have Auburn not
even when Auburn isn't good most of the time, they still manage to keep it a close game.
When it's at Auburn, when it's at Bama, it's not close. But the last couple times at Auburn, at Jordan-Hare Stadium, the Jalen Milroe miracle. If you remember, a couple years ago, it was 10-3. Alabama marks down with Bryce Young. They win in 4 overtimes. Both last times when it's at Auburn. And the time before that, Mac Jones and company lost to Auburn. So Auburn's pretty damn good at Jordan-Hare Stadium. But besides from that, Auburn, they're missing a lot. They always have a good enough defensive line. I think that's the best part of the Tigers. But besides
they
from
had
that,
Derek Brown 5 years ago. He's a really good defensive lineman in the NFL.
One of my most niche things, I love big, huge D linemen from Auburn that have single-digit numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I just expect only Auburn. Like, I just think that man's eating some good Southern brisket and going out there and playing.
That guy is literally consuming protein powder. He's literally just inhaling.
Wearing number 0, big black.
Okay.
Ramondre Stevenson, you're a big physical black back.
Running black. I mean,
Auburn's my number.
He's got running away from the cops.
Auburn's my number 11.
My number 11 is South Carolina.
Okay. That's my number 10. You have Florida way too high, by the way. I assume you have them at 10. You don't have them at any of them higher than that. Whoa! Florida higher than 10. We'll have to get into that. South Carolina at 10. I'll tell you right now. Lenoris Sellers, the South Carolina QB, is got
no Spencer Rattler.
Cam Newton potential. He's got Cam Newton potential. The guy can move. The guy's big. I'm not saying he's the next Cam, but he's a guy that you got to watch this upcoming year for South Carolina.
Is he going to steal a laptop and then go to some random JUCO college and then go to Auburn?
Could very well happen. But him at South Carolina, I think they're going to have a great offense. In a couple years, if they can get that thing right, Shane Beamer and company are going to have a good squad.
My number 10 is Texas A&M.
Texas A&M at 10. Okay.
Lost Evan Stewart, who was their best offensive weapon, to Oregon. Definitely dwindles down their offense a lot. I mean, he had, I know he had over. I'm pretty sure he had over 1,000. I'm not sure what he had. Yeah, he had over 1,000. But a very good piece to that Texas A&M offense, and they lose him. Look at him. I know the name. I'm pretty sure he was okay last year. I'm not actually sure how many yards he had, but
he's okay.
what do you have? 640.
Yeah, you think he's like top 10 receiving college football. That's why nobody knows him. Okay. At my
Mark my words, Evan Stewart will be really good with Oregon. That's for damn sure. With Dylan Gabriel instead of whoever the hell Texas A&M has at quarterback.
Connor Wigman.
Yeah.
That is wild to have Florida that high. They lose Trevor Etienne, their running back. They lose Ricky Purcell. Grant Martz is
Ricky
good.
Purcell was not good. He had 800 receiving yards.
Okay, that's still good for college football.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I
but
mean, he was still
bring in Cam Ward. They brought in.
They have Cam Ward.
know.
He's at Miami.
Oh yeah.
Yikes! Why do you think I'm talking all this time about Graham Mertz if he's gonna like? Yeah, Florida is not all that. I'll make you all that bet. That's way too high. My number 9 is Oklahoma. Okay, did you have Oklahoma yet?
No.
Okay, you had A&M at 10.
Yeah. And then my 9 was Florida, and then my 8 is Tennessee.
Okay, you're gonna list it all. Everything?
You listed your number 8.
No, I didn't. I listed my number 9, Oklahoma. Ooh. My number 9.
My number 1 I have.
My number 9 is Oklahoma. It's gonna be a rough period. Transitioning to the SEC, they had a great year last year. I thought they were going to make the college football playoff.
Literally, the only person I know from Oklahoma is the white linebacker who wears like number. I don't even know what he wore, but he was like really good last year.
Okay. Cool.
It's the only thing I remember from Oklahoma.
They'll be fine. They'll be a typical Oklahoma year. Like, here's the thing. Oklahoma's
I think
ninth.
they're probably going to go 6-6.
Oklahoma's ninth. They might be in the top 25 this year.
Yeah.
Because that's how deep the SEC is. They have 9 teams in the top 25.
Well, they added
It ain't
2
wild.
amazing teams, Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, you look at their roster, they might not be good, but they'll always manage to somehow get 6 or more wins in a year. So.
You had who at number 9? A&M?
No, my number 9 was Florida.
Florida at 9. Why that high?
Because I was really high on them.
What?
I would prefer them over Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Auburn. Yes, their schedule's hard, but I could see them having a chance to get 7-8 wins.
It's not. Whoa!
7.
7 wins. Okay, let's go off here. They beat Miami.
Yes.
Okay, they'll beat Sanford.
Beat Miami, beat Sanford. I definitely see them beating Texas A&M, and I definitely see them beating Mississippi State.
And UCF.
And yeah, so they could already start out 5-0.
5-0. Okay, at Tennessee, they winning.
That's a close one. I think Tennessee,
Okay, they're 5-1. Home against Kentucky,
Florida,
so they're 6-1. At Georgia.
L,
At Texas.
L,
Home against LSU.
L.
Home
Ole
against
Miss,
Ole Miss.
L, Florida State. I have them winning. I have
At
them winning
FSU.
against-
At
yeah.
FSU in a rivalry week.
Yes, I'd have them winning over FSU.
I see 5 wins, or maybe 4.
I see 7. So
I see Samford, Mississippi State, UCF, Kentucky.
I see
Kentucky.
7.
They ain't winning much. 7 wins. Friendly bet. Nothing on it. 7 fucking
We're
wins.
gonna forget about this by 2
I ain't
days,
forgetting.
but
I ain't forgetting. That's a wild bet. 7 wins. Maybe on a regular SEC schedule.
I'll text it to you and then you can save it, or I'll just save it in our chat.
That's wild. So we'll set the over-under on 6.5. 7 wins. They're not going to make a bowl game. They ain't making a bowl game this year. Let's move on to number 8. My number 8 is the Texas A&M Aggies. Good enough squad. Connor Wigman's back for another year. He's fine. It's not like he's going to do much this year for Texas A&M. The recruiting class has to pay off sometime. That 2022 recruiting class that saw Texas A&M have the greatest recruiting class ever. When Jimbo and those boys, who's their head coach now?
Who?
Texas A&M.
I don't know.
When Jimbo and those boys had that great recruiting class, that has to pay off sometime. Right? It has to. We hope.
Who?
Mike Elko
Who?
gets...
Ooh, we should do one of these on like. Okay, I get that they can't see anything. Well, you could just put the thing around. There's like a. Oh my god. There's those graftings where it's like A tier, S tier, A tier,
Oh, yeah,
B
tier
tier.
list?
You could do that with college football teams. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but because
Yeah.
they can't see it unless you flip the camera around and have someone hold it. But
Not today, but it's okay.
obviously not. But I was just saying for another episode.
So that recruiting class has to pay off sometime. Who do you have at 8?
My number 8 is Tennessee.
Tennessee Vols. Why?
Nico.
Nico, last name.
Yeah, something. It's gonna be his first year actually starting. Yeah, he had the bowl game last year. It was also against Iowa. They had like half of their starters not playing, but I think he has a chance to be a really good quarterback. Well, he definitely has a chance. He was a 5-star, so he has a really good chance to be a good quarterback at Tennessee. The only problem is they lack weapons. They don't have name people. You have it's college. Obviously, you have good athletes, but you're also in the SEC. There are great secondaries in the SEC, so I feel like it'll be kind of hard for him. But Tennessee will still have a winning record. I'd say, I don't know, 8. I don't know. SEC is so hard because I don't know what Tennessee's schedule is, but
That was great analysis. That was actually pretty good. I have Tennessee at 7. You have them at 8.
I have Oklahoma at 7.
I have Tennessee at 7. Listen, I think the
Tennessee,
offense is going to take a step up with Nico Amavela or something. I'll learn the name sometime.
Pajama boy.
Nico,
He always wore pajamas for the 7-on-7s. for,
Nico,
like, OT.
I'm available. But listen, Joe Milton was not good for Tennessee. He went high in the draft and he was highly touted because of his arm strength. He was a classic case of a not good college quarterback, good enough to get drafted. Nico Amavela
I'm a lever.
will be a better QB this year for Tennessee.
Communist China's
okay.
military, built with help of an American.
Guys, this is not sponsored by anybody. We do not endorse presidents.
This is sponsored by the Chinese Communist Party. Fuck, I clicked it. Aaron.
No, you
How to
didn't.
pronounce Aaron?
Aaron.
Pronounce this name.
Okay,
The name
ready
of
to learn.
the football player quarterback for more names from American football.
Just predict,
the NFL,
just say it,
Social
buddy.
Stadium, and Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
Yeah, that's definitely not right. I'm not trusting this guy. Until I hear Nico pronounce his own name, I'm not.
Nico Iamaleava.
Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
Sure. Go with that.
Nico I. For Tennessee. He's going to be better. The big thing, James Pierce might be the best player in college football this upcoming season. Potential number 1 pick for Tennessee off the edge. Absolute game record. Chance to be the next Will Anderson type guy to have that type of season. He's at number 7. Or not he, but Tennessee's at 7.
I have Oklahoma at 7.
Any reason?
Pretty high on them. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm high on teams for no reason.
I think, maybe you can agree, we have broken into another tier. These 6 teams, maybe even these 5, are a tier ahead of everybody else.
Oh yeah, you have your number 3 way higher than what I have him.
These 6 teams, I think, are way higher than everybody else. There's a good gap. Okay, my number 6 team is LSU.
Yeah.
LSU still a good enough squad. Garrett Nussmeier had actually looked really good at the Peyton Manning camp, is what I'm hearing. Peyton called me up. He said, Garrett Nussmeier looks really good. I trust Peyton's analysis, right? Me and him go way back. He will be mad at me for picking Tennessee at number 7, but that's fine.
I mean, when me and him were together in college,
Yeah.
I literally was there when he was directing the band.
just look at this forehead. You think I get that from nothing? I learned from the best in Peyton Manning.
Didn't you say when you went to Tennessee they worship?
Yes,
Did
they do
have
worship. They had a mural in a Cane's, Raising Cane's restaurant. The
in
back
Tennessee they have a
not mural, like a painting on the wall. What are they called? What's that called?
a painting. I mean that's
Mural, not a mural. I don't know. A shrine, not a shrine. That would be weird.
they have to worship him every 5 hours. They're like, Raising Cane's, we are now worshiping Peyton Manning.
Instead of bowing your hands, you got to touch your forehead and
You gotta enlarge you have to pull your hairline back to enlarge your
Yes.
forehead.
So I have LSU at 6.
I also have LSU
Here's the
at 6.
problem. Here's the problem. They don't play a lick of defense. They did not last year. Jaden
They're
Daniels.
like the Bengals from 3 years ago. They're like, we don't have a good defense, but we're gonna outscore you with our offense, which
Until
might
the
not be a
playoffs.
case anymore this year.
Until the playoffs. So they took a big step back. Jaden Daniels was the best player in college football. He won the Heisman. They had 2 first-round receivers. They ain't getting that this year. Okay? And they will take a little bit of a step
they
back.
have Jackson Blazicon.
Okay.
You don't know who that is, do you?
Nope.
You don't watch that boy. Got it.
I would trust Louisiana State University to make an upgrade to continue to go. I have them at number 6.
I also have the.
Tigers.
Yeah, I was gonna do.
Go Tigers.
The board. Whatever
Bordeaux?
Joe Burrow had that
Burrow.
Burrow-dex.
Burrow. Geaux means just go. So when it says Geaux Tigers, it means go Tigers.
No,
It's just the LSU saying.
the Burrow-X.
It's-
Like
I
when
know.
he went out with. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
But that is just means go. That's all that Geaux means. It just translates to go.
Go Tigers, I guess.
You ever see Geaux Tigers?
Nah.
Anyway, this is a stupid debate.
Yeah, I've never seen it. We're gonna
The
go
same
back
guy.
to this guy.
Biden's inflation problem.
President Biden's inflation problem. Bride doesn't see it.
Okay, my number 5
From
is.
Cajun French, pronounced as go. In French, it should be pronounced as jo. But no, go.
I was
Tigers.
talking
Go
about
Tigers.
like that. The
Oh,
EAUX is
on
on
how
it,
to
but like
pronounce
you know,
small
Joe Burrow had
confusing.
that. Yeah, that thing.
It's just the same thing, though.
Yeah, like that.
Did he wear that the whole game?
I think so.
I don't think he did.
I think it was like for 5 minutes after the game. I think he changed the jersey. But yeah, the Tigers at number 6.
Okay. I think there's also another breakaway at least 5. Ole Miss is my number 5 team. Jackson Dart is back. They lose Quinshawn Junkins, which is really tough for them, and he goes to Ohio State. But there's not
I'm
many.
very high on Ole Miss, and
There's not
later
many.
in this episode,
There's not many guys I trust more with an offense than Lane Kiffin. He's an amazing coach. The Lane train moves on, and Oxford, Mississippi, and Ole Miss is number 5. That gets him into the college football playoff.
oh, I should put them here. All right, I'm going with it. I have Mizzou at number 5.
Mizzou at 5. Why?
I don't know.
I don't.
Georgia, Texas.
Hey, who knows? We could put a different SEC team. in
You
there.
have a different thing than me, a different list than me.
Okay.
But for me, I see 4 teams being better than Mizzou head to head. So this is why I put them at 5.
All right, so let's go to number 4. For me, it's Alabama. There's going to be a little bit of a setback from Alabama, and this is wild saying them at 4. They're not going to be as good without Saban, of course. Are they still going to make the playoffs? I think yes.
I mean, it's a 12-team playoffs.
I'm seeing wild spreads, early spreads. I mean, Georgia's like a 12-point favorite against Alabama. Like Texas is like an 11-point favorite against Alabama. Like wild spreads. Give me all that Alabama money line, by the way.
Still Alabama.
It's still the Tide. Alabama is plus 130 to make the playoffs. That means they have a less chance to miss it, to make it than miss it. 12 teams. Come on. It's wild for Alabama.
They have a less chance to
Make it than miss.
it.
They're more likely to miss it than make it, which is wild for
Kind
Alabama.
of dumb. That's
Caleb-
that's like everybody saying Michigan's gonna have a bad year this year. Like it's still Michigan. This is still a college team.
Yeah.
They have multiple 4 or 5 stars, even good 3 stars. So it's like
Alabama at 4. They'll take a step back. Kalen DeBoer, though, is an amazing coach. He might be the best coach in the country. No. Kirby Smart and all those guys up there.
you do not know how good James Franklin is.
Yes, I do.
10 wins guaranteed every year.
Bald.
Sucks in playoff games or bowl games.
Alabama at 4.
My number 4 is Ole Miss.
I'm
Very-
so
very
high. I'm
on
so
them.
high at Ole Miss. You have them
No,
one
no, no, no,
higher
no,
than
no,
what
no.
I do.
You'll later in the episode you'll see.
No way 2's winning the freaking Heisman or something like that. That was wild. Putting Jackson Dart in the Heisman race. Okay, my number 3, and my team if there is one team that you could call my team that I have stock in, last year's my team, don't mean to brag, it was Washington. How'd that work out for me? Pretty damn good. This year's my team, the Missouri Tigers at number 3. Brady Cook, Luther Burden, not Cody Schrader anymore, but he was great last year. They have a great squad. I love teams that end the year on a high note and return players. That is my recipe for success. It worked out with Washington. It's going to work out with Mizzou, I think, at number 3. And just to preface, I hope you felt the same. 1 and 2 does not mean it's the like whoever's number 1 does not mean they win the SEC championship. This is the SEC regular season standings.
Yeah.
So I mean, say another team gets in.
We most likely think it's going to be these two teams that face off in the SEC championship, but
My number 3 is the Missouri Tigers.
my number 3 is the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Tide are back. Roll Tide.
I don't know. I think they'll have a minor setback, but it's still Alabama.
It's still Alabama.
They have, like Michigan, they have multiple
Alabama.
4 stars. They have multiple 5 stars. They bring in Kalen DeBoer
DeBoer.
from Washington. He just went to the national championship last year. So
It's not like you bring in a scrub head coach. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is more accomplished than Nick Saban in the last 2 years. Does he have 7 national titles? No.
But like in the past year,
Is he in Aflac commercials? No.
Kalen DeBoer's been better than Nick Saban in the past 5 months.
Really? I don't know about that. Nick Saban's really doing good.
Nick
at Pat
Saban hasn't
McAfee.
had an Aflac commercial in the past 5 months.
You ever see Nick Saban golf? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's a good golfer, so
He brought his wife out to golf, and his wife was just like
Miss Terry.
just sitting there, like she didn't not want to be here, and he was just like, "You're gonna
probably-
watch me golf."
She's probably so pissed. He probably works like 130 hours a week on his film and his team and blah blah blah.
And now that he's retired,
He's like,
he's
"Well,
like,
finally time for me. I'm golfing.
I'm golfing.
I'm still golfing.
It's like, okay, I was gonna say something. Never mind. Let's continue with the episode.
Move on to the top 2. Number 2, I have Georgia Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs. It's tough. They're just a team that is just, they lose so much every year. So much every year. And my team at number 1, you can kind of guess it, process of elimination, they lost a lot.
No way, you have Vanderbilt at number 1.
They lost a lot as well. But Georgia at 2, I'm not too impressed with Carson Beck. I understand. Could he be the number 1 pick in the draft? Yes. Will he be a very solid enough quarterback? Yes. I don't have enough faith in him as I do in the other side in my number 1 team in Quinn Ewers in Texas. Steve Sarkisian is a great coach, offensive-minded. They ended the year incredible. They moved to the SEC. There's new pop in Texas. I mean, Texas is back.
You already did your 1 and 2s at this point.
I did. But, I mean, if you go down the list, what are they going to say? There's only 1 team left in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, true.
So Texas is back. If there's ever a statement, that long-running joke, Texas is back, well, but they're officially back. And they're my early, they would be my number 2 team in the country right now. Which, Georgia, let's keep it real. Georgia lost 1 game in the last 3 years. If they beat Alabama, they're probably 3-time national champs at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, but they lose to Alabama. They missed the playoff. Did they miss the playoff?
When?
This past year? Yes, they
No.
did. Yeah, they did.
They played Michigan.
No, they did not. Alabama played Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They didn't make the national championship. You said playoffs.
Playoff, yeah. They didn't make the playoff last year.
They played Michigan in the playoffs.
No, they did not.
Oh, you're talking
Alabama
about
played
last year.
Michigan.
Yeah, you're talking about Texas.
Talk about Georgia. Did Georgia make the playoff last year? No. Okay, so
I was so lost. I thought you were talking about Alabama for a second. I
So
was
heading
like,
into
oh.
that Alabama game, they were still 12-0. They were still the number 1 team in the country. They're still going to be very good. Number 2, I think they're the 3rd best team, 4th best team in the country, 3rd best in the country.
Yeah, it just depends on how the Big Ten works out.
So
Literally,
Georgia,
the Big Ten is Oregon. and
Georgia at
Ohio
number 2,
State. We doing Big Ten rankings next week?
maybe.
Okay. My number 1, cause it's kind of obvious. No. Texas is my number 2.
Texas is number 2.
Georgia is my number 1. It's Georgia. It's a literal powerhouse. Yeah, you lose players. It's college. That happens. You have multiple 4 and 5 stars.
You love this. You go through this cycle
Yep,
all the time.
yep.
You lose players,
Yep.
but multiple 4 and 5 stars, some good 3 stars. That's like your motto. You got like a 10-second clip.
It's college football. You lose players every year. But guess what you have guess what you have behind them? Multiple 4 and 5 stars and some decent 3 stars.
It reminds me there was a debate in 2016 leading up to the election. This guy, Marco Rubio, he had like a pre-planned a debate.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a
I don't know. I'm not in a presidential
he's
debate.
kind of a
so.
suit and tie guy, and these other guys are kind of working guys. Like if you're a congressman, you're only in Washington D.C. But if you're a governor, you're out in the state lines and doing stuff.
Yeah.
So he's in the Congress, and he says, "I want to dismiss the notion that Obama does not know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, and blah 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 blah." And the one guy's like, "See, that's the little 10-second clip that this guy blah 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 blah," and he's such a robot. 10 minutes later, I want to dismiss this notion that Barack Obama does not know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the guy catches him 30 minutes later. I want to dismiss this notion that Barack Obama does not know what he's doing. He knows exactly what, and then he went from getting like millions of votes to like 100,000. Because he just kept saying it over and over. And
I'd like to dismiss the notion that Barack Obama does not know what he's doing. He's a great person.
So, yeah. Anyway, you have Georgia over Texas.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, they lose players, but
That's fine. All right.
I mean, you can't argue with it. It's literally between Texas and Georgia for the 1 and 2. So
2 more segments here. 2 more segments. Who's this one?
well, there's 3 more, but we're probably only gonna do 2 more.
Yeah, 3 more. 3 more segments, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how much you like the podcast.
Well, how long are we into this video?
Hour and 5 minutes.
Already?
Yeah.
You yabbered about basketball for 30 minutes
Yes,
straight?
uh-huh.
Oh my god.
The
I
SEC
did not
predictions.
think-
The SEC
I did-
predictions took 40 minutes.
That wasn't that bad. It was the basketball. Well, okay, we also started out with like a
Time
5-minute
flies
history
when you're flying fun. Time flies when you're flying fun.
thing, and the first 5 minutes was a history lesson. So.
All right, college football, EA Sports 25, whatever you want to call it, comes out in 2 weeks.
John Madden Jr. college football.
John Madden Jr. If you are a regular human, you are going to be rebuilding a team. And if you're a better regular human, you're not going to be rebuilding Alabama or Georgia or Texas.
I'm
You're going to
I'm gonna rebuild Oregon.
You're going to rebuild these low-level squads and bring them up to a glory. So we have a 5-round draft, snake draft, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, or whatever.
I have 2 honorable mentions.
I get
by
picked
the way.
1, 2, 3. You do them at the end.
I know. Oh well, why don't? Well, are we starting?
'Cause
out
what
with
if
one?
my
Are we starting out with 1, or are we just going? What are we starting out with? I literally just have 5 teams listed. So I don't really have them ranked.
You should have 10. 'Cause
You said do 5.
a draft, it's 5 rounds, 10 picks. You can cheat off me if you want. But, yeah, 5 rounds.
Oh, okay. Then my honorable mentions won't matter because that'll. Already
I would
be
go. I'll go second, third. He'll go first. Then I'll go.
Numero 6.
I'll go. He'll go first. I'll go second and third. He'll go fourth. I'll go fifth, and we'll go back. And we can take and see who has the better draft. So you will first pick the number 1, the head honcho in drafting in college football 25.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have them listed in order. I'm just doing. 10
Okay,
teams.
so just pick a team.
One team that I have is ECU. Not a great team. They're
Eastern
in the
Carolina, the Pirates.
No, they're not in the Sun Belt. No.
CUSA.
Yeah. I don't
America.
know.
They're in the American Conference.
That's what it is. So they're in the American Conference. They have great unis, and they're bad at football.
Okay,
So
it's a good pick.
they also have a really nice stadium.
I have second and third here. My second overall pick is going to be App State. App State is such a lovable little guy. They are a very historic Power 5 team, or Group of 5 team. Wins over Michigan. Wins over Texas A&M a couple of years ago when Texas A&M was ranked high. The scene down there in Boone, North Carolina is a great scene. The Appalachian Mountains overlook it. It is an amazing stadium. Luke Combs is there every single week. The vibe of App State, when College Game Day went to them this past year or 2 years ago, it was a great vibe. App State is a really good pick. And then my second pick is going to be Boise State. Another really big
I
group
literally
of 5
just wrote
team.
that down, so now it's gonna look like I'm copying you.
A great group of 5 team in Boise State. The Blue Field. I mean, what else do you want to say about the Blue Field? A legendary.
Wait, did you know Boise State has a blue field?
Yeah, a legendary run, 56-3. Kellen Moore is a starter. They are the Alabama of Group of 5s, and they have struggled these last couple of years. That'd be great to rebuild them and move into a Power 5 and assert their dominance. Your pick, number 4.
UMass.
Whoa, UMass.
Decent uniforms.
I understand they're bad.
Very trash.
I understand they suck, but you want to get a cool sucky team.
Well,
UMass just sucks at everything.
yeah, but they have decent uniforms. Terrible recruiting.
It's raining. It's dreary. Their stadium, they have like 400 people there. There is one
This
guy.
is tough nose football.
There is this one guy on TikTok.
Adam Brennan. Oh, I'm kidding.
The Yes Man. He's a big UMass guy. Huge. He goes to UMass varsity swimming. Like, he's huge. And every time
How do you have time to do that?
UMass loses every
When
football-
do you know that UMass is gonna have a swimming competition?
UMass, they lose every game. So he has like videos on TikTok. He's like, "Let's go UMass. We're taking on bumfuck State," and then and then 30 minutes
And then
later,
they lose.
He picks another video in the first quarter. Come on, UMass, get out there and do your job. We're down 28-0 in the first quarter. Get out there and do your job. No. This is awful. And every time they win, he's yes. This is the yes man Joshua back here. He's just the UMass super fan. And he's like in the stands, and you see the backdrop of the stands, there's nobody there. He's the only guy there.
He's just screaming in the stadium.
No, UMass. Get out there, do your job. Okay. So you pick
Make
UMass.
UMass great again. When were they ever good?
I'm gonna pick another vibey team, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Colt Brennan, may he rest in peace. If he was a good person, probably was. I don't know him, but Colt Brennan, mid 2000s Hawaii quarterback.
Yeah, the white, yeah.
The white guy. I mean, it's the default race.
That was not in the character treats. You got the default one, bud.
So yeah, great program out there in Hawaii. It'd be tough if you want to do it realistic. I like to play realistically. It'd be tough to kind of negotiate with getting into a conference just because how far away they are. I think they're they're independent. I think you're the only team playing. They play their games at midnight Eastern, 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. Hawaii time. So it's a cool team. The vibes. I mean, you can get the Samoans down there.
If it's at 12 Eastern, then yeah, it's 6 p.m.
You get Troy Polamalu can come to your team. You can make a storyline where
Dude, get Troy Polamalu as your coach.
you can make Troy Polamalu or you can make Mariota your offensive coordinator in a couple of years. Like, there's a cool pathway there at Hawaii.
My number 3, Vandy, bottom feeders of the SEC.
I did have them on my list at my number 9 spot.
Make them somewhat decent.
They're one of the few acceptable Power 5 teams just because you gotta go and beat Florida. Not Florida. you gotta go and beat Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky, all these big time schools.
Auburn.
You gotta beat Texas. You gotta beat Georgia. You gotta beat Oklahoma. Alabama, Ole Miss.
What the fuck?
Another thing I like about these, sometimes I don't like my rebuilds to be that unrealistic. Like, okay, would it be all that?
I just brought in the top 5 stars.
When Kennesaw State wins 8 national championships, is like the kind of like, come on, let's make it real.
After you win about 3, reset your team.
So I could see Vanderbilt being a realistic team. Like if Vanderbilt gets good, I would not be like, wow, that would never happen. Probably will never happen.
In our lifetime, I don't think that's ever happening. But
I'm gonna use one.
Mason, I can't wait for 2050 when Vanderbilt is a 10-time national champion repeat.
I'm gonna use one of my Power 5 teams. I'm gonna use one of my Power 5 teams. West Virginia. Great vibe there. They have that little stripe out game out there. The Mountaineer mascot. Country Road should be in the game, hopefully. And they're a historic team. They were good a couple years ago. 30.
Will Greer, however you say his name.
And they're struggling. Big 12 team. Maybe
you do not know how good prime Geno Smith and Tavon Austin was.
Maybe we can get good enough to move to the SEC, move to the Big 10. But I think that's a good enough rebuild.
I think West Virginia would probably go to the
dominate the Big 12. Get good enough. Go to a big conference. Restore Germany restore West Virginia to its glory.
Okay, I'm not going to say the team that I have it for. But number 5, BYU. Amazing stadium. Good uniforms.
But
just
you're gonna
good
be
all-around
by
aesthetic.
Mormons.
Who cares?
You're surrounded by Mormons, though.
Who cares? Be a good football
You better
team.
not be drinking coffee when you play, because they'd come out the screen of the TV and say, "What the fuck, coffee?" Okay, my final pick. I got some couple ones here. I'm gonna go Memphis and the Memphis Tigers.
Antonio Gibson alumni.
Yeah.
Remember, like 3 years ago, like the COVID season, Memphis was good. They were like 10-2, and
Hey.
it was them and SMU were
Hey,
10-2.
how
and they were
about-
playing each other?
How about Memphis and UCF? That rivalry back in the day, that 2017
I didn't even know it was a
AAC
rival.
game. Memphis UCF triple overtime, 62-55. UCF wins in their undefeated season to go play Auburn and then win that one. UCF would be a fun team, dude. The bounce house.
I was gonna put them
But yeah,
down, but
Memphis-
over some of these other teams.
Memphis is a fun team, right dab in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, Memphis, Tennessee. Why would they be in? Fucking idiot. Why would they be in? The team is named Memphis. The team is named Memphis, and I say right in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, it's awful. But
Penn
Memphis,
State right in the middle of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
yeah. Pittsburgh, right in Philly.
The
So
Pittsburgh Pirates right in the middle of Philadelphia.
Memphis has a very unique style. They love the kind of scat back, wide receiver / running back types. Antonio Gibson. There was another guy that went to Memphis.
Dree Archer.
Did he actually?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he did.
Darrell Henderson went there. Kenneth
Yeah, that guy's
Gainwell,
not
and
a-
then Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, who's what I think. Those kind of they have that type. Tony Pollard, receiving, running guy. Antonio Gibson, Memphis is a sleeper for RBU of the smaller teams.
Never mind, that was way off. We're
So yeah,
not
that's
gonna talk
that's
about
my
that.
final pick, and that's my draft. App State, Boise State, Hawaii, Memphis, and West Virginia. I think that's a good batch of difference. Small teams, bigger teams. Your final pick.
So I can't do
You're
a
on the
team.
clock.
I can't do a team that you picked, right?
No, that's how a draft works.
Give me TCU actually.
Ooh,
Really
TCU.
good. Well, okay, they downgraded
TCU.
in uniforms, but yeah, because they went to Adidas.
Here's the only problem: you cannot pick a team that made a national championship. 2
well,
years
they made
ago.
a national championship a year ago. Guess what their record was last year?
I
They
don't
went
care. They
4
made the
and
national
8.
title 2 years ago. It's not like, man, we have not had success in a long, long time. We haven't had
Before
success
that, they didn't do
since
jack.
2022.
They were literally a 1-year wonder.
Okay, that's not bad. But like
That's like Peyton Hillis
over-
making the Madden cover.
over Kansas,
Yes, I have.
Over
I
Coastal
had Kansas,
Carolina?
I don't know. Yes.
the Chanticleers, over Sam Houston,
Yes.
over Kennesaw State,
Yes.
over Akron,
Yeah.
the Zips.
Actually, no, I don't know about Akron. Akron's been terrible for
Akron.
thousand years.
Umpteenth. All right, final segment. Maybe.
I'm gonna give my honorable mention for a rebuild. Nebraska, very good up and coming school.
they're kind of too good.
Yeah, I know they're like,
But Nebraska would be fun. Nebraska, another
and
team.
then Oregon, but like just sell the entire team and do their own rebuild because they have good uniforms.
Oh, that'd be
That's
cool.
literally it.
Just him to 10 years. And
Yeah,
just have a
literally,
bunch
yeah.
of
Just
nobodies.
get rid like what you do in Madden when you want your own like franchise. You like start in like 2023 and you sim 15 years in the future and you make your own like league.
Nobody does that.
I've seen multiple people do it. What are you talking?
Let's do a fantasy draft.
Yeah, you do your 2005 NFL draft, Mason.
I have a lot of resims. I download a 2002 roster and see how it plays out.
Will Tom Brady be good?
Did you ever see Bengal had a 2002 simulation? And he's like, and Tom Brady's on the team. Oh, and he's black.
Oh yeah. He goes to click on the thing and it's like just a black guy.
Tom Brady he's only 26. And he's black.
Does this make Tom Brady athletic?
Maybe. Is he Dwayne Haskins athletic or is he Mike Vick athletic? We'll have to find out.
Dwayne Haskins will not win a Super Bowl, said by Colin Coward. Or no.
Colin Coward.
Yeah.
All right, our final segment. We're running a little bit over, maybe.
We're over.
hour
We're
18.
usually over by 15 minutes.
This is our longest video ever. So
I think we had one that was an hour and 30.
no, we had one that was out of 10.
Then that was because I was gonna say we had one like in the fall where like we were just yapping about football forever and
Top
ever.
5 Heisman picks.
Because it was dark when we left here, and we got here at 3:50. So
We used to do it at 4:30, if you remember correctly. Back in the old fall.
that was last year's fall.
Anyway, top 5 Heisman favorites for 2024. The Heisman Trophy.
I
the
love
most...
my list because I'm being different and not a copycat.
What? My number 5 pick. Big high on this guy, Quishon Junkins, out of Ole
did not
Miss
have
to
him
now
on my
Ohio State. I think this is the thing. Ohio State.
I wanted to put him, but then I'm realizing he's sharing a lot of carries with Trayvon Henderson.
He's still on the team.
Trayvon Henderson? Yeah. He's their backup running back. He's still on the team. That's what I was saying. That's why I didn't want to go with him because...
My number 5 is gonna be Quinn Ewers.
Okay, I was going to say. Because Trayvon Henderson's still on the team, so he's going to share carries
Yeah,
with
I'm
Quinn
big
Johnson.
on Quinshon Junkins, but not if he's a split backfield.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers at number 5. Like I said, I mean, I got my QUI ends wrong. I got my Quins. Quinshon Junkins, Quinn Ewers. I got my Quins wrong. Quinn's a weird name. If I just say it a couple times, like that's a fucking weird name. Quinn.
I know 2 Quins.
Brian Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Okay. All right,
Quinn.
stop. It sounds so dumb saying this now. My number 5 is Ollie Gordon.
Good pick. That's my number 4. Ollie Gordon. What a nickname that should be. Ollie Garden. Olive Garden. Ollie
Okay,
Gordon.
you
That's
can-
kind
you
of
can-
close.
You can stop with like the
Look,
shitty names.
look at this. Look at this. Look. Ollie
Sir,
Gordon.
we're at an hour and 20 on
Ollie
our
Gordon. All you got to
podcast.
do is change the I to a V and just add a thing to the back. It's Olive Gordon. Olive Garden. Ollie Gordon.
Okay, we're hallucinating. There's mustard gas in the air, and we're taking too long.
That's
in
what
this
happens
podcast.
when you go over 80 minutes. Number 4 is for me is Ollie Gordon. The only problem is an Oklahoma State player really going to win the Heisman?
No, but I mean,
But
he
here's
was
the
only
thing.
a sophomore
Here's
last year,
the
and he had
thing.
6 games over 100 rushing yards.
Here's the thing.
He had 3 over 200.
Big 12 ain't that good. There's
obviously.
a reason. There's an area where Oklahoma State can win 11 games. I mean, who's the biggest contender in the Big 12? Texas Tech. You know, Colorado, Utah. Who knows? So Oklahoma State can run through the Big 12. You're 4.
My number 4 is Jackson Dart.
It's not awful, but it's also Jackson freaking Dart. He's a good
Very
player.
high on Ole Miss for some reason.
I mean, he's going to throw the ball a million times this year. I mean, he always does with Ole Miss, but that's something. My number 3. Listen, I got a weird obsession with receivers that had a great year last year, picking them to win Heisman.
Oh, you have
couple
Luther.
years ago, I had Jackson Smith and Jigba winning the Heisman. Last year, I had Marvin Harrison in my top couple. Now I have Luther Burden at number 3 for Missouri. Another high-powered offense. I love when
I had him as my 6, and I was debating between him and Ollie Gordon, but I went with Ollie Gordon.
I love having receiver that had a great year, getting his QB back. Brady Cook's back with Missouri. I've done that in the past. C.J. Stroud, Jigba, blah blah blah.
You do not know how good the Drew Aller and I don't even know wide receiver.
Julie Fleming.
Holy shit! He's not returning with his quarterback. Kyle McCord's at Syracuse.
Yeah, so Luther Burden, my number 3.
My number 3 is Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers, okay.
You're gonna love my top 2. You're gonna love my top 2.
My top 2 wild, and I'm thinking, what else would you have? Okay, one of these 2 is obvious. My number 2 is Dylan Gabriel. You should definitely have him in your top 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's my number 1 actually.
Okay,
So
my number 2 is Dylan Gabriel, Oregon, high-powered offense. I think Dan Lanning has a claim to be the best coach in college football. He's up there with Kirby. He's up there with Jim Harbaugh left, Nick Saban left. So it's a rough area. Dabo's so washed beyond belief. So yeah,
Dabo hasn't done jack in about 6 years. So
hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. Coach Sweeney's got that drip, and now he's on TikTok. We build our program on NIL.
I built this for you, page brick by brick. God damn, what the hell was that?
I build this program on NIL, God's NIL, God's name, image, and likeness. That's cool and all, but that's not going to get a 5-star recruit.
Please tell me where you found that video of that dance and why you did that and where you heard that audio, and please send it to me.
Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock.
Okay, my number 2 is Travis Hunter.
Whoa! Travis Hunter, what the fuck? If there's anybody in Colorado, it's got to be Shedeur Sanders, right? Travis Hunter.
They have nobody else on Colorado now. The wide receiver left for the NFL. It's literally
What about
just
the
Travis
Weaver
Hunter.
guy?
He left for the NFL.
Dylan Edwards in their backfield?
I don't even know. Who?
You didn't watch enough buff ball.
I literally watched 2 Colorado games this year, and it was at TCU and it was at not Oregon,
Nebraska?
at Nebraska. I literally missed all the other ones because I was working at the Bloom Fair. I wanted to watch the Oregon one.
Colorado did not play every game during the 1 week of the Bloom Fair. I missed Colorado week 4 or 5. I missed their November.
No, I missed
game.
week 5 and week 6, or week 4 and week 5 when they played Oregon and USC, and then I just didn't want to watch any other ones because there were good games on. The last week I'm not going to watch the rivalry week. I'm gonna watch the game.
I didn't watch many other.
I literally watched 2.
I watched
and that was
the
because
first
that's
3.
because the first week nobody was playing. It was literally Colorado and TCU or bumfuck Boise State versus Kennesaw State. I'm
Boise
not
State actually played Washington.
Well, guess what, Washington? I don't give a shit. I was watching Colorado and TCU.
That was a great game. I thought that Colorado was
Because TCU was supposed to be decent this year. They're shit the bed. 4-8, 5-7. I don't even know what they went.
That Colorado Oregon game had so much.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
They're fighting for clicks. We're fighting for wins, man.
I literally saw that. I literally
All time.
watched that on TikTok for like the 5-minute break I had, and that's all I. Literally 5 videos in a row is him is like.
Man.
Going. They're fighting for clicks. We're fighting for wins, and then I checked the score 3 hours later, and it's
42-6.
Yeah, like.
My number 1. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm so high on this guy. Take a pick. Who do you think? I'll give you 5 guesses, and I don't think you'll guess who it is. 5 guesses. Just throw out names.
Offensive player.
Oh, shit. Just throw out any guess you have. Doesn't even have to be close.
Jalen Milroe.
Got it. Jalen Milroe is my number 1 player. I think he will win
I
the
was
Heisman.
going to put Jalen Milroe on my top 5, but then I was like, Isaiah Bond left for Texas. They have no other, like...
The way he ended last year was he played as good as anybody in college football to end the year last year. And there was a moment last year in Alabama, their stock was at an all-time low. They lost to Texas. They came back against South Florida, and it was tied 3-3 in the rain against South Florida. They were 31-point
And then
favorites.
they put in the backup, and then, like,
They put in the backup. They put in this Asian guy. They put in the third-string freshman.
Isn't the Asian guy the transfer from Notre
Yeah,
Dame?
yeah.
I was wondering where he went when I saw Sam Hartman playing this year for Notre Dame. I was like, what happened to the Asian guy? Because he was like the first
Call him
Asian
the
to
Asian guy.
He was like the first Asian to play for Notre Dame, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? Is this Jeremy Lin's younger brother? Is this Jeremy Lin's son? Like,
Oh, boy. This Asian. So there was
God,
something
how do you
that's...
even read the defense with those Asian eyes?
Something that sparked after that South Florida game, the Kentucky game, dominated. He dominated, beat Georgia.
It's
Of course,
Kentucky.
tough loss against Michigan in the national title game, but that really showed,
It
I
wasn't
think,
the national
Jaden
title game.
in
It was
his
the playoff.
Rose
It was
Bowl
the playoff. There you go.
semifinal.
I'd rather play in the Rose Bowl than the whatever they got at the Texas, the Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl. I mean, everybody would. The Rose Bowl is...
Rose Bowl is so fire, dude.
Okay. That'll do it for this episode of Talking About Balls.
My
Our